Welcome to day number 13 of harvest, day number 3 of corn harvest, even though we're going to be combining soybeans today. Yesterday we got the intercrop plot picked. Words. We got the 12 and the 12, the 6 and the 6, the 8 and the 8, the 4 and the 4, the 3 and the 3, the 2 and the 2, the 1 and the 1. What? If you're not familiar, this is intercropping. Intercropping is when we plant different crops side by side. So in this case, I have soybeans planted next to corn. This is supposed to be the most profitable method of farming, but it seemed too good to be true, so I decided to give it a try. I took 55 acres of my best land and I planted 7 different row configurations of corn and soybeans. I have 12 rows of corn, 12 rows of beans, 6 rows of corn, 6 rows of beans, 8 and 8, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 2, and 1 and 1. Now we've already harvested the corn and these were the results. Now today we are going to finish our trial by combining the remaining soybeans and we are truly going to get to see which row configuration is the most profitable. And we're also going to see if intercropping is actually better than monocropping. Since we got the corn done, we need to get this corn head dropped off. Cooper's got the bean head pulled out here with his Ranger. Let's see what he has to say. Okay, doesn't have to say a lot. We're gonna pull into these beans, we're gonna combine them, and then we are going to truly see if the intercrop plot was a good decision, if it was not, and also we'll get the information on what row configuration was actually the most profitable, because the highest yielding for the corn doesn't necessarily mean the most money in our pocket. Before we jump back to these beans, we're gonna take a picture of these settings, so that way when we get back into corn, we don't have to think again. I do like the fact that this gray air bar has this little extension added on the back, so that way it blows our feeder house off. What we really need to do is cut a hole on the other side and put another one on, so that way it does the front. Okay, let's get all of our settings changed here. We gotta close this bottom sieve way down. You slow everything down on corn and you crank everything up on soybeans. Okay, here we go. We got everything set. So we're gonna see how well this bean head slides over this corn residue. I don't think we'll have too much issue down here because this had devastators running on it. But when we get to the narrower stuff where we had to lift the devastators off the ground, that might be a different story. Okay, my reel is barely spinning. There we go. This looks funny with all the corn chaff flying around. We have a little plug up down there. That's not the end of the world. It doesn't seem like it's dragging behind the head, which is more what I care about. These beans are doing 70, 68. I'm not complaining about that. Apparently we're not seeing a whole lot of yield drag in the 12 and 12 configuration. We got the 12 row section done. It appears we had no yield drag on the 12 rows of intercrop soybeans. Next up we have the 6 rows soybeans and 6 rows of corn. This one's gonna be kind of interesting because my devastators were not able to touch the ground in the center right there. So I have tall corn stalks. Basically everything from here forward is going to have tall corn stalks. I hope that feeds into the head well. Over where the devastators hit, for the most part, it went pretty good. I did have a couple plug ups. Sometimes they just drag in front, they didn't drag behind. I think I only had it 3 times where it was behind in 4 acres. So, I mean, yes, annoying, but for this plot, not the end of the world. We're about to find out here though. Actually, it appears like it's doing a pretty stinking good job. Looking at the yield monitor, it's doing 58, 59 right here, 57. So it also appears we are not getting a very large yield drag at all. Comparable to what the 12 rows was doing. This is the 8 and 8. We have to do 8 rows at a time. It worked pretty good on the 6 and 6 over there because the head was perfectly wide enough. We had 6 rows in the middle, but we could pick up 6 over there. We could pick up 6 over there. But on the 8 and 8, that's not gonna work. It seems like everything's flowing through pretty good. As for the corn residue, the intercrop plot actually stayed pretty clean for weeds. There was a couple little patches like this one that were coming up right here. They kind of broke through. The herbicide that we had to use for the corn and the soybeans is not as effective as if you're just specializing in corn or just specializing in soybeans. So that's kind of why I feel we got these. I probably could have gone a little heavier with my rates too, just solely due to the fact that I should have forward thought that it wouldn't be as quite as effective. But overall, over there, actually looks pretty clean. Going along, I'm like, man, I don't think my air bar's working. What's going on? I'm like, for surely, all this stuff should just blow right off. My intake fan is plugged. There we go. Now we're on the 4 and the 4. This is the one between my combine passes, and then that's the one I drove on top of. So you can definitely tell a difference between damage just by color alone. There's a lot more pods split open on these, and this plant's kind of knocked over more. It seems like we're picking them up, at least evaluating the back of the head here. But yield, probably down about 10 bushels. I would guess those are probably doing pretty good, but we're probably getting our loss over here. I also have to keep an eye on that fan for the Curry air bar, because I got a lot of corn chaff stuck into it. So when I get to the end, I have to shut my head off so that way everything can fall off, and then I turn it back on again. And then it seems like that's been working pretty good. Now we're on the 3 and 3. Don't mind my planter tracks. I forgot to hit the GPS button when I planted this. We'll be straightening out shortly. Okay, there we go. Well, the 3 and 3 is yielding about the same as the 4 and 4. 50. Oh, who forgot to combine that corn over there? Now we're on the 2 and 2. And this is yielding 28. Definitely seeing a yield impact on these ones. Mostly because the corn head basically damaged most of the rows. The in-between row I got, that one didn't get touched, but everything else got smacked. And also, these didn't get the most sunlight, especially on one of the rows. It's kind of funny, looking at one, it looks pretty wispy and windly, and then the other one looks like it's got pretty good beans on it. The south one got less sunlight than the north one. This is a little tougher to harvest. Looks like my fan is full again. Kind of cool. You kick it off and boom, auto clean. Now the 1 and the 1 is struggling a little bit, a lot of it more. We're doing 16 bushels, 15. But on the other hand, the 1 and the 1 in the corn was doing like 350. So our math's going to be a little bit different on what break even is on this one. The co-op closes in 28 minutes. It's about a 20-minute drive over there. I got about 5 minutes of combining left in this field. We just plugged our center feeder house somehow. I was going slow. Guess I'm gonna have to go slower. Give that a try. And we're only doing 1.2 miles per hour right now. But we're just about there. Okay, we're done with the intercrop plot. Sweet. On that last pass across the field, I probably stopped 10 times in 2,000 feet, every 200 feet, and I plugged the feeder house 3 times. Yeah. I'm glad we're done with this. So here's the moment of truth. This is where we came out on the soybeans, and this is where we came out on the corn. Now we are going to be assuming a $5 per bushel corn price and a $12 per bushel soybean price for the rest of the numbers that we're going to be running. Looking at our control, this is what we're comparing everything to. This is monocrop environment. So if anything does better than this top line, then that means that it did better than the monocrop. So as we can see, every single corn yield did better than the monocrop, and only one of the soybeans did better than the monocrop. Basically, the narrower we got on these soybeans, the more yield we lost. I mean, look at these 1 and 1s. We had 15.64 bushels to the acre. Then this bottom line is kind of interesting. It is our high management control. So this is a monocrop situation, but we put some extra fungicide passes on it. We gave it some extra micronutrients throughout the growing season, and these were our yield differences. So the high management control still did 19 bushels better on the corn than just our regular corn. And then on the bean side of it, we did 6 bushels better. Now yields are all fun and stuff, but what we really care about is the revenue. So this is our corn revenue, and then we have our soybean revenue, and then everything added together. Everything is going to be compared to the top control, so that's based at 0. And so basically looking at the 12 in the 12 row configuration, that did $246 per acre better than our monocrop control. So that took second place. Third place came in on the 4s, and then to top everything all off, we have the 1 and the 1s. That was a $249 per acre advantage over the monocrop. So if we would have ran this on every single acre on our farm and got these numbers, we would have made an extra $498,000 over our 2,000 acre farm than we would have in a monocrop situation. That seems pretty stinking profitable to me. And I also thought this was interesting. In 4th place came the high management approach. So everything here on the intercrop got the same normal management as our control. So what if we took this high management approach and we put that on the intercrop? I think we could even boost these numbers that much more, because even right here we have $167 per acre advantage over what the control had. So there we have it. I think it's pretty safe to say that the intercropping is more profitable than the monocropping. I mean, it would have been kind of nice to know this information going into last season. Then if we would have done everything, maybe we could have had a new combine. All right, let's get this bean head off and get back to corn. I couldn't see anything, so I knocked all the stuff down in there. We'll just fire the machine up, run it through that quick. Zach's coming under the head. We got the Devastators pinned up right now. He's pulling the pins to drop them back down. We had to lift them up when we were in the intercrop so we didn't mow the beans down. Okay, we got to get the rotor into first gear. Right now it's in second. Neutral. I'm gonna call that first. Why does it smell so horrid of skunk in there?
Another one, I think.
Alright, we're gonna calibrate the head sight. Well, they are monkeying with that. I'm gonna eat my lunch. I guess Ricardo's gonna be running the John Deere. Zach's gonna be running the 340 now. I need to make sure we got the monitor switched over right so the scale's tracking correctly. Okay, we'll resume. Save job. Grandpa's. Okay. We want the corn one. While we were finishing up the intercrop plot, Cooper went to the other side of the field and he took some samples. I guess it's 16% over there. So we're gonna knock that out first before we get to this stuff that's like 27. Okay, here we go. We're getting a little area right here along the edge of this windmill road opened up so that way we can get the semis in here to turn around and then they'll be able to go out and go around. And then the main farm's just right there underneath the sun. For this being an area where the semis drive, I'd say it's doing pretty good. Oh, see what kind of job we're doing. We could probably turn our fan speed up, maybe close our top sieve down a little bit. I got a little bit of straw in here and I got a little bit of cob. Oh, let's take a look at the ground. You always got to do both. Check the inside of the tank and the ground. We haven't got a frost yet, so the top half of these plants is still green. It's kind of cool to see. Got the green leaves, got some tar spot in here. There's a lot of moisture inside the stalk yet. This thing is soaked. Like I could literally wring water out of that. Nice big fat cobs. We don't have any kernels of corn stuck to them. That's good. I don't like seeing these still having bits of corn in them. It just didn't fully grow out all the way, but we're leaving weight behind on that. Okay, what do we got for kernels on the ground? That one right there. One right there. See a piece of cracked corn. I might have my rotor going just a little fast. And if I look right behind the head, we can see what we're getting for header loss. If we find any corn up here, it fell out through the head. So those two pieces right there, that's a little bit of shatter loss. You're gonna get some, it's impossible not to. Yeah, I got a cracked kernel in there. I'm gonna slow my rotor down just a little bit. First corn dump of the night. Remember this year how we had 3 different planting phases? This is phase 1, then right across the waterway was planting phase number 2. We're going to the phase 1 stuff. Cooper said that was 16% when he hand shelled it, so it'll probably be like 18 with the machine. Let's see if he's right. Cooper might be right. Look at that. 17. Okay. I remember when we first got this grain cart and it was an absolute monster. Now it feels kind of like a toy. Cooper's to the rescue. We got a little tree caught right up in there. We're gonna do a kill stop. It looks fairly even in here. The right side of the machine maybe a little more loaded, but I think we have the sieves offset 2 degrees to the left, so that way it evens out. We're just getting way too much corn on the ground for some reason. We're not even going fast, 3.5 miles an hour, so we got something set wrong. We're looking behind the machine, and in this area on the back of the machine, we're just finding a bunch of corn. We're not finding much out there. We're not finding much out there. We crawled underneath the feeder house, and we found a nice trail of corn coming from somewhere, but we're not really sure. I have the head about a foot off the ground right now, so we're gonna lower it down. And we kind of wonder if maybe something is splitting underneath the feeder house and it's making more corn fall through. This is turning into a state job pretty quick. Can't say I'm not guilty in this situation. Well, how did that happen?
Well, I tried using this, but apparently that was too much.
We're trying to roll the faceplate back on the feeder house. We got everything loosened up. Cooper blocked underneath it here, and we just set the corn head down on a little bit to swivel it back, and I guess we broke the bolts underneath there for this row unit. And so that whole row unit is now broken to the frame. This is the faceplate that goes on the front of the feeder house of the combine. There are a couple bolts on the bottom, a couple bolts on the top that we have to loosen in order to swivel it. The way the faceplate works is it attaches to the corn head. Then when we loosen those bolts, we can either tip the head back or we can tip the head down. Our head was pointed really far down, so what we were trying to do is tip it back just a little bit. And we did that by putting a block of wood underneath the head with the bolts loose, so when we set the head down, it was supposed to tip the faceplate back, but it ended up breaking it because we had all the weight on one row unit. I know, seems obvious now, but at the time we thought it was gonna work. I guess we're bringing this down to the main heated shop to fix it. Cooper told me to go through the ditch, so we're listening to Cooper and going through the ditch. Hopefully this works. We got Presley up above blocking traffic, so no one's coming through. Otherwise, we would not be heading this down the road very far. Good news is we only have 2 miles to go. We're gonna try to get everything pulled off tonight. Sounds like Lucas and Sebastian are going to be coming out with new parts in the morning. I think it actually ripped the bolts right out of the gearbox on 2 rows, so it's a little bit of a project. Well, we missed one mailbox. I just bumped my other neighbor's mailbox. Those Devastators just hang down just enough right there. I thought I was over it. I wasn't. All eyes are on Zach right now. He's seeing everything for me. I can't tell what's going on at all. So I'm fully trusting in everything he's motioning me to do. Since this is not a folding head, we have the combine in the shop. We're gonna try to back the head in, come in at this angle, that way we can pick it up inside of here, and then we can work on it. And looks like Lucas and Sebastian are here. They're all busy talking to each other, greeting and not paying attention to Cooper literally running over the trash cans. I'm amazed at the fact that Cooper's Ranger pulled the bean head like it did, and it's just moving this corn head around like it's nothing. Okay, look at that. Buenas tardes.
¿Qué pasa, amigo? What's up? How are you?
Were you sleeping?
No. Not at all.
¿Qué tiempo acostarse?
No, más tarde. Tipo 11, 12, ponele.
Hola, Sebastian.
Hello.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, vos?
So the bolts, I guess, go into here. At least that's the way I take it. And those ripped out. So basically this entire assembly is bad. So we got 2 new ones and some of those. And we got the 2 amigos. Plus Zach, plus Presley. 4-hour job, easy. Ay, ay, ay. Este es perezoso. This whole thing is no good anymore. This side, yeah, that side got reamed out, but that side it just completely broke it. We're gonna have the same thing on this one, and then also these top plates here, the deck plates got bent. But they were able to put this in a handy dandy vise and straighten it back out. So I think that's gonna work. Sounds like just the gearbox on the one went bad, and then this one is just that little bracket right there. So Cooper's heating it up, he's gonna bend it back, and he's gonna re-weld it, and then we'll put it in the vise and straighten that back out. Well, we got one row done, kind of. It's not really straight the way those deck plates line up from that one to that one. They say that we can push this down, then when we get this on, it will straighten it out. They said they've done it before, and that it's gonna work. We've questioned it, but they're the ones who work with them, so we're gonna give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll just tear it apart and put it back in the vise, straighten it out, and put it back together again. It only takes like an hour to do it, so not the end of the world. And this one, on the other hand, we had a little bit of a problem. The gearbox of it was good, but this top piece, it had a little bit of bendy, brokey going on up there. Cooper and Zach couldn't fix it, and if they can't fix it, that's not good. So there's another demo head up at the shop. They are going to get back from demo in the morning, then they're gonna pull that off, and they're gonna put it back on this one so that way we can get running. You get the bins empty on the dryer?
I got the wet stuff ran through the dryer, And then we were putting some dryer stuff in the overhead. And I got that moved over because we can't put, we probably got to stay 5,000 or less in our great 18,000 bushel bin but anyhow, I got the dryer stuff moved over there and then fire back the dryer tomorrow. I was getting tired.
Speaking of tired, it's midnight. Yeah. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.